This is the story of the lost tomb beneath the Sphinx. In 2017, a ground-penetrating radar survey of the Great Sphinx revealed a hidden chamber beneath its paws. This discovery sent shockwaves throughout the scientific community and had everyone from mainstream archaeologists to conspiracy theorists buzzing with excitement. For decades, theories about secret chambers inside the Sphinx had been floated around. But this was the first time physical evidence had been found suggesting there could be something to them. A few weeks after the announcement, a man named Sebastian, who claimed to be a private Egyptian archaeologist, snuck onto the site and discovered a small entrance leading down into the Sphinx's paws. He descended into darkness and eventually found his way to a vast underground chamber filled with hundreds of sealed stone coffins. Then he noticed one coffin in particular, one made of pure gold, which seemed to be different from all the rest. After carefully opening the lid of the golden coffin, he found an enormous scroll written in a language nobody in the world can read. It didn't look like any hieroglyphics we recognize today. With great effort, Sebastian managed to decode the scroll, and what he found sent chills down his spine. The writing told the story of an ancient race that lived in Egypt thousands of years before the pharaohs. They called themselves the Children of Light, and they worshipped a supreme being they called Ra. But here's where things get crazy. According to the scroll, Ra wasn't some kind of benevolent god. Instead, it described him as a monster, whose wrath could bring fire down from the sky and whose hunger could never be satisfied. So they wrote, quote, "We have brought forth this evil from the darkness of the Duat, not to honor it with a monument in the daylight, but to bind it under the earth so that it may not rise again." In other words, they buried Ra not out of respect, but to keep him from destroying the world. And according to the scroll, the seal of the tomb had already been broken once before, releasing the monster for a brief period of time. They fought against the Children of Light and only managed to banish him back to his prison using advanced technology. Somehow, this scroll had survived all these years, and now Sebastian was holding it in his hands. As he read the last line of the scroll, a gust of wind suddenly swept through the tomb, extinguishing his flashlight and plunging him into total darkness. As his eyes adjusted, he began to notice strange shapes moving in the shadows. Whatever had been sealed within this tomb was stirring. Perhaps he had unwittingly doomed the entire human race by reading the scroll. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the shadows vanished. And when Sebastian's flashlight flickered back to life, he saw that the coffins were beginning to shake violently. It was then he realized the true horror of his discovery. What lay beneath the Sphinx wasn't a tomb, but a prison. But what exactly is being held there? Is it an ancient Egyptian god, an extraterrestrial being, or something else entirely? Well, let me tell you, whatever it is, it seems like humanity might be in some serious trouble. According to the legend, the being imprisoned beneath the Sphinx is none other than Ra himself. Now, if you're not familiar with Egyptian mythology, allow me to catch you up. In ancient Egyptian religion, there was a supreme deity known as Ra, who was considered the creator of all life and the bringer of light into darkness. Ra was typically depicted as a falcon-headed man, or as a scarab beetle, and he was believed to rule over the sun and everything it illuminated. However, unlike the benevolent Ra that many people know about, the Ra imprisoned beneath the Sphinx is said to be a terrifying monster whose power over the sun was matched only by his insatiable hunger for human flesh. It's said that Ra would use his control over the sun to turn day into night, and that he would devour anyone who dared to venture outside during his reign of terror. But, eventually, the Egyptians managed to defeat Ra, and they sealed him away in a secret tomb beneath the Sphinx. This ensured that he could no longer cast his shadow across the land and bring darkness to the world. Instead, they honored their victory by building a monument to commemorate their triumph over the beast. However, it seems that Ra's hunger has not waned even in the afterlife. In fact, some believe that his prison beneath the Sphinx is actually a metaphor for the human mind. The sarcophagus that Sebastian found may represent the subconscious, while the scroll could symbolize our repressed memories and buried emotions. When Sebastian breaks the seal on Ra's prison, he inadvertently unleashes chaos within his own psyche. The shadows that he sees could be interpreted as manifestations of his own inner turmoil, and the coffins that shake violently might symbolize the fragility of our mental state. Ultimately, the story of the lost tomb beneath the Sphinx serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of delving too deep into the mysteries of the past and the importance of respecting the boundaries between the living and the dead. In this twisted ending, however, the truth is far more sinister than any of these theories. What's imprisoned beneath the Sphinx isn't a monster at all. It's a powerful being who exists outside of human understanding. His imprisonment was never meant to contain his physical body, but rather to hold his consciousness. When Sebastian broke the seal on Ra's tomb, he unleashed the being's presence into the world. But this wasn't intentional. The being wasn't dormant or asleep. In fact, he was dreaming. His dreams were so vivid and intense that they manifested as physical sensations for those who entered his tomb. The shadows he saw were nothing more than figments of his own imagination. It was only after reading the scroll that the being became aware of Sebastian's presence and reached out to him telepathically. However, instead of communicating in a language that Sebastian could understand, the being simply shared his dreams. And this is where things get really disturbing. The being's dreams weren't just figments of his imagination. They were portals into other realms of existence, each filled with unimaginable horrors and impossible landscapes. As Sebastian found himself pulled deeper and deeper into the being's subconscious, he realized that he wasn't just witnessing these dreams, he was becoming part of them. His own consciousness was being merged with the being's, blurring the lines between predator and prey. And as this process continued, Sebastian's sense of self began to dissolve until all that remained was a single thought. The being's dreams were becoming reality. As the being continued to dream, the world around him shifted and changed, reshaping itself to match the visions in his mind. But this wasn't just a harmless game. Every creature that inhabited the being's dreams became real, existing independently of the dreamer's thoughts. And as Sebastian realized the true nature of his discovery, he understood that humanity had just become part of a nightmare. With no way to wake up, he knew that there was no escape. He was trapped forever within the being's endless dreams, doomed to wander through a never-ending labyrinth of madness. The being's dreams were becoming reality, reshaping the world in his image and trapping humanity within an eternal nightmare. And that's where our story ends. With humanity trapped within the never-ending dreams of a godlike being, there's no hope for rescue and no chance of escape. The only thing that remains is an endless descent into madness. But maybe I haven't given you an ending quite dark enough. What if the being's dreams weren't just reshaping the world, but also erasing it? As the dreamscape becomes reality, the fabric of space-time begins to unravel. Planets are torn from their orbits, stars go supernova, and galaxies collapse in on themselves. The very existence of the universe hangs in the balance as it's consumed by the being's insatiable appetite for destruction. But why? Why does the being want to destroy the universe? Well, the answer lies in the very nature of his existence. The being is timeless, existing outside of the constraints of linear time. He has no past, no future, only an endless present. But this immortality has driven him mad. The being's consciousness has become stagnant, trapped in an endless loop of repetition. He craves change, but is unable to initiate it himself. That's why he dreams. Each dream is a new possibility, a chance to explore the infinite potential of the universe and experience the thrill of creation. But his dreams are uncontrollable, unpredictable. That's why he needs a dreamer to enter his dreamscape. By merging with another conscious being, the being can guide the dream in a meaningful direction, shaping the universe according to his own desires. But this comes at a terrible cost. The dreamer is forever lost within the dreamscape, unable to return to the waking world. they become a sacrifice to the being's immortality, trapped within the endless cycle of his nightmares. So that's how it ends. The being consumes the universe, destroying everything in his path as he seeks to break free from his own madness. And as for humanity, well, they're just along for the ride, doomed to suffer alongside the rest of the cosmos as it tears itself apart. What do you think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to hear more stories like this, stay tuned for more updates. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support keeps this channel alive and lets us bring you even more creepy, mysterious content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.